Good evening, everybody. It's me, Brian. Welcome to Caregiving Under Hardship. And oh boy, I just don't even know where to start. Every day that has gone by in the last couple of weeks has felt like 3 days. I think I'm averaging maybe 4 hours of sleep, if that. I wake up with this incredible pit of fear in my stomach every day. It's it's the single most difficult time I think I've gone through in this journey. Karen was hospitalized, as you know, from April 30th, April 30th, and she was brought home to me on May 4th, where the EMTs couldn't even hold her up. And during that hospitalization, she was only able to eat part of one meal. And what she didn't throw up came out as diarrhea. I'm sorry to be graphic, but that's what happened. And the day she was discharged, that Monday, May 4th, she had diarrhea 3 times before she came home. The next 2 days, I was able to get her to dialysis the next day, of which she was so depleted, they didn't even have to do dialysis on her. All they did was clean her blood because there was no fluid to remove. She was that weak. The problems that I had brought her there for, they claimed they couldn't find anything extra wrong with her other than what her diseases bring to her and the residual effects of the kidney, the liver, the dialysis, and everything else she has wrong with her. So 2 days went by, the 5th and the 6th, where I was trying to slowly introduce her to solid food again and trying to get her on some kind of better track. All this while trying to pack and hopefully had a target for moving the next week, had she been able to just get a little marginally better. But on Thursday morning, the 7th, I had all her clothes laid out for dialysis. And I think I told the story in the last video. And she woke me up at 6 o'clock in the morning on the floor, and definitely not herself. She didn't take a hard fall, but she still tried to lean up in the bed, and she ended up on the floor. It's not a long distance, but still she was on the floor, but she was in a very serious brain fog where it was extremely scary. I checked her sugar. It wasn't hypoglycemic shock, because that had happened to her the day after she got home after dialysis. A few hours, I woke her up for a nap and her sugar was 45, I'm sorry. So I had to get her sugar back up that night. And then the next day, she was able to eat a small serving of mashed potatoes and protein shake. And she was able to keep that down. And I was encouraged by that. But then Thursday morning came, and on the floor, and I noticed that the oxygen tube was under her leg. Part of the oxygen tube here from her machine was under her leg. So she was dead weight at this point. So I had to wrestle the tube out from under her leg. But even then, her pulse ox was still normal, and she was still talking like somebody who was having a stroke, I thought, or somebody that just in extreme brain fog, and it was terrifying. And when the EMTs came to take her back to the hospital, they said, okay, after they got her sat up on the bed, they were like, are you ready to take the ride to the hospital? And she goes, no. But she wasn't being herself then. Karen never talks like that. And like I had told you in the last video, I had my hand gently on her shoulder, and she said, "Stop pushing me." And I wasn't pushing her. So I was really extremely concerned. So, like I said, we got to the hospital, and immediately they found a UTI that they obviously did not diagnose the last time she was there, a couple of days before, because I don't think she made any urine those days. And that alone, they should have told them to keep her and check further, which is why I always say sometimes you got to keep fighting and fighting and fighting and insisting. And even then, you still might not get the results you want. And then it jeopardizes the life of the person you're caring for, your loved one, what have you. It's horrible. It's horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. So they gave Karen a course of antibiotics over the next 4 days, from which was the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And we weren't told then if we weren't told whether or not she was done with the antibiotics. They just said, well, being that she fell again, she needs to get stronger if you guys are going to move. So we're going to put her in this facility, which is 45 minutes away in another county. And from the new house, it would be an hour and a half, because the new house is almost an hour away from here. So the rent still had to be paid for that place, our portion of it, and I still had to pay a portion of our rent here. And Karen was just brought to this facility, and I really needed an education on how nursing homes, rehab facilities worked, because immediately, as nice as I thought the place was, and I still do think the place is nice on the outside, all the things that you fear that a nursing home is about on the inside, and the inner sanctum of it, it seems to be that they're all true. It's hard for me. I felt like a failure, obviously. I still feel like a failure that she's there and not with me. I don't know what they're trying to work towards, because Karen's not recovering from anything. She still has 2 terminal illnesses, and the only thing that's going to save her life is a double transplant. So I don't know what they're trying to push her to be able to do that she's going to be able to sustain on a regular basis. So they were just saying that they wanted to work on the strength of her legs, so that, that she didn't fall, and working on her being able to walk to the bathroom. Okay, that's all well and good. But how long do you plan on keeping her? And then once I get her home, how long is she going to be able to sustain this? These are all unknowns. These are all questions that I can understand if it's a person recovering from an injury being in a rehab. That, there's a baseline you're working towards of normalcy that you're working towards. But Karen has had just as many bad days there as she does at home. And she had to go to a place that obviously does dialysis, and instead of 3 treatments a week at the facility, the nursing home has the power of their machines isn't as strong as the ones at the dialysis facility. So she's having 5 treatments, smaller treatments per week. And she's having the same problems there, where the other day they couldn't give her dialysis at all because her blood pressure is dropping. Again, these are the things that kept happening here. They are trying to give her physical therapy. I was trying to do the same thing here, but there are days that she cannot do it. There are days that she doesn't feel like eating. And most importantly, there are days when she still has brain fog. So what are we doing? What the hell are we doing other than running in circles right now? And me being without my wife, and my wife being without the constant 24-hour support of myself and the cats. And I still believe in my heart of hearts, which I've tried to impress upon them, that there is something else wrong. I just don't understand how severe this decline has become. This dialysis has done much more harm than it has good, even though I know it's technically keeping her alive. I know that. But the oxygen still has not really improved her quality of life. If it has, then why does she still forget things or doesn't know what time it is, doesn't know where she is? I don't understand any of this. There was a plan meeting yesterday, a care team meeting, and they were talking about things about their goals, as far as what Karen can do and cannot do, and what an acceptable level is for her to come home, and the insurance company, and how many days they are going to be able to cover for her to stay there. And I'm confused by all of it. And there are no physicians there. There's only a nurse practitioner. Now, she was supposed to be seen by a nurse practitioner, but nurse practitioner has not shown up yet. I noticed yesterday, her ankles and her feet were very swollen, much more swollen than they've ever been here. I mean, they are doing everything they can. They're keeping her clean. She's able to have her own clothes there. I've brought everything I can there to make sure she feels like she's at home. But the problem is when she wakes up and doesn't really, sometimes wakes up, and I'm sure that there are times when she wakes up and doesn't know where she is, doesn't know where I am. I mean, she's only texted me once or twice. I mean, she does know that, she can call me, and she has called me, and I call her when I'm not able to be there, but I usually get there. I've been able to get there most days, but it's cost an awful lot of money to do that. And I've run out of money 10 days ago. I'm not looking for charity. I've been borrowing money that I will pay back on the 3rd, to the people I borrowed it from when we get paid. I've spent, between the hospital and trying to get back and forth to the nursing home, whether it be Uber or somebody giving me a ride, which is very hard to do, almost $600 in transportation, which has wiped out all of the rest of the money we had for the month. I'm not asking for any charity. I'm asking to borrow. I need another $150, $50, or even $50, $100, whatever, to get through the rest of the month on PayPal. If anybody's able to lend it to me, I'll give it back to you in a 3rd. That's all I have to say. I don't want any charity. I've been trying to do this myself without asking for help, but that's neither here nor there. That's a separate issue. What I'm trying to say is, try not to feel like a failure if for whatever reason the person you're caring for, your loved one, has to go into a rehab facility, but also make sure that they're going there for the right reasons, and make sure that they have a goal that they're working towards to get the patient, to a baseline goal of some form of life normalcy, where the patient isn't suffering, is able to enjoy some part of life besides sleeping, and is able to eat, and is able to not have bathroom problems, and is able to not have brain fog, and all the horrible things that Karen goes through. Because right now, I don't even understand why she's there. I can take care of her. I'm trying to use this time. I want to be there with her, but I also have to get the apartment set up, because at some point we have to go to the apartment, even though it's in a very remote location. The thing is, she has to get stronger so she can deal with the 45-minute ride that's going to be going to dialysis and back on her dialysis days. So this is all very hard. It's very confusing, and that's why, on Friday and Saturday night, the couple hours I'm able to watch the show is the only release I have. And even then, last night, I really couldn't enjoy it fully because all of this is falling down on me. And I'm not eating right. I'm not taking care of myself. I just care about Karen and the cats. I'm doing everything I can. I know I'm just getting myself strong enough to be able to deal with that. So everybody, please, I needed this time to vent, okay? And if you can help out with what I asked for, direct message me on X or email me, brianneary@gmail.com. Okay? It's in the description of the channel. I hate doing this again. I just, my self-esteem is in the toilet right now. All right, everybody. I'm sorry. I apologize. I am just really overwhelmed. I hope you're all having a decent Memorial Day weekend. As you can see here, it's freezing, raining, and it went from July the other day to February within a matter of days. It's insane, the weather. Everybody want to say hi to Scooty? Hey, hi, everybody. There he is. Look at that face. Look at that face. He's going to be 15 in a week from today. No, from yesterday. I'm sorry. On the 29th, he'll be 15. Thanks, everybody, for understanding. I'm sorry. I had to let it all out. If I don't let it all out, I'll go really crazy. Take care of yourselves and each other, okay? See you tonight for the show. Bye.